Oh, hello everybody, hello, and welcome to another episode of People's Freeway. Look, I know that things have been lacking in the whole, everything department for the past few months, but I got really busy. It's been one hell of a year, but luckily, I'm not going to be, giving you any more excuses. We're back, and luckily enough, we have a wicked interesting person to be speaking with. Today, I'm going to be speaking with our friend, Josh. Josh has the incredible experience of not only seeing the entire world from the back seat of a car, and sometimes the front seat of a car, sometimes probably a train, Anyway, we'll get into it. He's hitchhiked over the entire country, state to state, city to city, and we're going to talk about the people that he's met. We're going to talk about the things he's experienced, and we're going to talk about why he calls Salt Lake home base. Sit back and relax, because we're back, and this is People's Freeway. You, and then we'll just start talking. Okay, here we go. It's been a minute. Hello, everybody, and welcome to People's Freeway, the Slug Life podcast focusing on subculture SLC. My name is Mike, and today in the kitchen, we have a very special guest, a well-traveled gentleman, Mr. Josh Tesch.
Thank you.
Josh.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Get out of my house. Not you, them. So, Josh, there's been, this is the first episode of People's Trivia I've done in a while. And first of all, thank you so very much for, coming by and just giving me the opportunity to poke your brain. We met each other because of some shared friends. I do a podcast with a couple of really awesome people that you know.
Yeah.
With Wait for the Drop. That'll be in the description, everybody, just in case you guys want to hear me swear about EDM and that kind of thing. But what came up when we were just partying, chilling together, was the fact that you have hitchhiked across the United States.
Yes.
I'm sure you've done a lot of other stuff too. If we get into that, that's cool. But first of all, what the fuck? And secondly, where did this whole journey of yours start? How long did it take? Like, what state did you start in when you decided to do it?
I flew from Salt Lake City to Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And worked there for a few weeks with a friend installing security systems.
Really?
Yeah.
Like video cameras and shit?
Yeah, like through Vivint.
Wicked. Okay, cool.
He's one of the engineers there, and he kind of just paid me under the table to help him out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, really, really hooked me up there. It was really nice of him.
That's cool.
And
what did you think of that kind of work? That must have been kind of...
It was actually kind of a trip to be going into people's homes.
That would weird me out.
Austin.
That would weird me out, especially in Austin. It's a hell of a town, but there's a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
A lot of weirdos. No, I'm kidding. So you're in here and you're like, you have a portal into like these people's lives a little bit, and did that kind of like run into it a little bit? Like, did you feel some sort of gratification to like helping people in that regard, or was it really just weird because you knew somebody's, I don't know, skeletons were in the closet, like right next to you or something, metaphorically speaking?
Well, this was the very beginning of my trip.
Yeah.
And
when did you take it? What year did you take it?
This would have been summer of 2016.
Damn, pretty recently then. That's crazy.
Yeah, it would have been the end of July, and I started there in Austin and was able to get this interesting perspective into people's homes, and it reminds me of this. There was this young family where there were these two young children who I had them help me out with.
Really?
Yeah, like, hey, could you grab this for me and stuff? And they ended up giving me this these Cheerios wrapped in a napkin, and it said "For Josh."
Oh my gosh,
And
that's
they-
cute. That's adorable.
And they handed it to me, and they're like, "Don't tell your friend that we gave these to you. Don't make them feel bad."
I would have looked them right in the eye. I would have said, "What? Not Honey Nut Cheerios, you little bastards." That's cool, but like little sweet interactions like that happen. That's what happens when you get invited into people's homes and they trust you. That would weird me out a little bit because I'm naturally like I like to call myself a realist, but I'm actually a bit of a cynic. So if I was in somebody's house and they were being completely nice to me and they just met me, there unfortunately would be a part of my head where I would be like, what's going on? I mean, I know you're doing a service for them, and they're paying you guys for that kind of stuff. I would still just be weirded out by it.
Yeah, well, I mean, my entire trip, I was in other people's homes the entire time.
Dude, it's intense.
I left Austin and took a bus to Houston, met up with a friend there, stayed there a couple nights, and then I was dropped off at a nearby truck stop just outside of Dallas, actually. It was
Crazy.
And I found that was my first time hitchhiking by myself.
By yourself? Okay. Hold that thought real quick because as everybody knows, we do record in my home studio, which also doubles as my kitchen, and I just realized I left the refrigerator on. So 1 second. Ugh. Comedic effect.
Let's see what this is.
There we go. So let's talk a little bit about, because when you, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, like for one point, these people kind of trusted you to not be a jerk when you're in their houses, and you're going into strangers' cars and hoping they're not going to be a jerk to you. I mean, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk a little bit, because I think that takes like a certain mentality to have. Where were you raised? I mean, what was growing up like for you? I mean, was that like a common thing? Are there other people in your family that did this?
No, not at all. I actually was raised just 40 minutes north of here in Layton, Utah.
In Layton?
Yeah.
Ex-Mormon?
Yes, I am ex-Mormon.
Okay. A-okay. That's yes.
Oh yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess that's kind of like something that runs kind of hand in hand with a lot of people that I know who are here in, who call Salt Lake home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a common theme in Utah. There's Mormons, mountains, and a couple of other things. Do you think that were you raised religious?
I was, yes.
Do you think that background was something that allowed you to just be more? Because I'm not speaking from personal experience, but from what I've been able to be educated from for people who are ex-LDS, I mean, now's the time to act out in ways that you couldn't when you were under your, I don't know, parents' thumb or family's thumb or something like that. Am I close on that, or is that?
I've always trusted people pretty well. I get along with people.
For sure.
And I automatically trust them. And I had actually served an LDS mission, and by the end of my mission had decided that I didn't really believe in the faith.
Oh man.
And that ended up getting me sent home about a few weeks early.
Before the mission was over?
Yeah.
Could you go into that a little bit for people who don't have any idea? What does it mean to go on mission?
Yeah, to serve a mission, when you turn 18 now for young men, you put in your papers just with information like medical records and whatnot, and they end up sending you to a certain location to proselytize for the LDS Church. And I was sent to Northern California in the Roseville mission, which is just north of Sacramento.
Cool.
And I served my 2 years there. Actually, while I was there, I'd heard about my buddy Ibrahim, who'd picked up hitchhiking and had gone to Nevada and to different places. And I was telling people that's what I want to do when I get home. They'd ask me, "Your 2 years are coming up. What are you going to do when you get home?" I'm like, "Well, I think we're going to grow a beard and hitchhike around the country."
How many weird looks did you get from people?
Some people are like, "This is your adventure that you're having. You don't need to have one of those." I'm like, "No, I do."
What was it? What was about that experience? Because from other ex-LDS people that I've spoken to, the mission is either the one that really cements it, or it's the reason as to why they decide to choose another path.
Yeah. It was really through independent research, just finding I was uncomfortable with certain historical facts and just seeing the inner workings of the bureaucracy,
Okay, fair.
Very much like salesmanship is very much emphasized on a mission, and getting numbers. Numbers are equivalent to people getting baptized and saved,
Oh, geez.
and it's not very comfortable to me. So
Okay.
that's kind of what led me to my disillusionment.
I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
you. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being honest about that. I know religion can be very, very hard to talk about sometimes.
Yeah.
But going on then, I mean, you come from this place where I'd imagine there's a lot of rules and you have to do a couple things. But then you go to at least what I consider to be like a complete 180.
Mm-hmm.
How soon after you were done with your mission did you get down to Austin where this all started?
So I got back at the beginning of 2015.
Okay.
And lived down in Orem for a while. And then during spring break, Ibrahim and I went to San Francisco. We hitchhiked to San Francisco.
You went with your friend?
Yeah.
That's badass. That takes guts. What was that like? Because that was like your first time.
That was my first time hitchhiking. Couch surfing is the most amazing thing you'll ever hear
How do you
about.
find all the people to sleep on the
couch
couches?
surfing, couchsurfing.com.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's an app, there's a website, everything, and we were able to find places to stay. We stayed in Elko.
Yeah.
And then we stayed just outside San Francisco in a place called Sausalito. We stayed on a boat.
Oh my
That
God.
was in the water.
That's intense.
It was great. We met the guy at the bar and he took us out on his little putt onto his ship, I guess.
Yeah.
And
See, doesn't that didn't freak you out at all?
No.
Oh my God, dude, that would freak me the fuck out.
No,
It'd be
it was
a complete stranger. We met at a bar. I'm gonna take you boys to my boat. We're gonna spend the night.
See,
I mean,
couch surfing is pretty great because you're able to. It's reference based.
okay.
So the more people who stay with you, or the more people you stay with, they will leave references.
Okay.
And the more references you have, the more likely somebody will be willing to stay with you or be willing to host you.
So it's the Uber of temporary housing.
Yeah.
That's intense. Maybe I guess it kind of speaks to where I'm coming from with my age and that kind of thing as well. Because if you have an app that allows you to do that and gives you backstories on people who are going to be hosting you, I guess that would definitely add some additional security in regards to it. I would still want somebody to call every other night, and if I don't call, I have to sign out a police report or something. I'm just paranoid about that entire thing. So let's talk about like the first time then a little bit. Mm-hmm. When was I'm going to ask you the same questions I'm sure you've already been asked like 5,000 times already, so I apologize.
No, that's fine.
But like, what was the first time, do you remember on your first trip with Ibrahim that you got a weird vibe? Do you remember that?
Not from any of our hosts.
You're kidding me.
No.
And you guys went all the way to California.
Yeah, we went all the way to San Francisco and back.
That's insane. That's insane. Well, that instills my faith in humanity a little bit.
That is exactly why I went on the trip that I did. Was to to increase my faith in humanity.
Were you a cynical person, do you think?
I mean, like after coming optimistic,
from okay,
but after this experience, like on the mission, I spent a lot of time in people's homes.
Yeah,
like, I was always invited over. I was fed every night by members of the church.
Yeah, and
became very comfortable with that. And then with the San Francisco trip, did this basically the same thing because you're just the couch surfing community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to have a big trip, which was this the summer of 2016. I spent 3 months traveling around the country.
And this is just you alone? Yeah,
this is just me alone. I was gone for 3 months, and I slept outside twice.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did you have to bring with you? Like just a sack full of clothes, or
I've just got a backpack.
Man,
just lived out of my bag.
That's impressive. Did you feel that maybe besides, I mean, in order to go through and have an experience like this, kind of reaffirm your faith in people,
mm-hmm.
I imagine you had to initially ask yourself that question, like, are the majority of people out in the world really good or not?
I strongly believe that the experiences I've had in hitchhiking has proven that majority of people are good.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
It's
You're making me
really
feel so much more cynical now, I'll be honest. See, I have maybe that's something that we could get into a little bit, because I have this ardent belief that people really aren't good or bad. I think the majority of people in the world are just indifferent.
Right.
Where like it's not really a question of somebody being a good person or a bad person. It's really just a question of whether or not that person cares about something enough to, be bothered by it.
To reach outside themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick up a stranger on the side of the road.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
And I don't blame anybody for not picking me up. It's not like they're a bad person because they didn't pick me up.
Yeah.
I mean, most people I know probably wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker.
Yeah. Well, I know I wouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say it right now. I wouldn't pick up somebody from out of the street.
Yeah.
Well, maybe after we're done talking, maybe I'll think
I
differently.
mean, you might. I
yeah.
hope so. Because I really appreciate when somebody's picking somebody up on the side of the road. Because I've been there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Did you keep anything on you? I mean, like, do you have a gun or
Like
a knife
security system?
Yeah, exactly.
I
a
did
taser
have like a
or something?
Leatherman, but I mean, I wouldn't keep it on my person. It would be in my bag. And there's a security precaution that Ibrahim and myself would sometimes use.
Can you go into that? What it was?
just take a picture of their license plate and send it to somebody.
Wow.
Right when you get into the car, just in case. There was this one time that I hopped in the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And these guys went off the path, and I wasn't sure exactly where they were going, and so I sent my location to somebody I was chatting with on Facebook.
Wicked.
But I mean, it was totally fine. They were just picking up some tires or something from
Do
somebody.
you think the main reason as to why you? I mean, I know you had this need to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I honestly respect it. I think it's very brave what you did. You had a question about human nature, and you found a way in which I'm sure it provided you with other. How can I say this? I'm sure you had a lot of reasons to do what you did,
Right.
but I'm really, really interested in that human part of it. Was it still something that you would do if you didn't have the technology with you? If you didn't have the capability of having a camera in your phone or being able to check with your friends list or something on Facebook to make sure that they knew where you were at?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went on a trip recently to the Rainbow Family Gathering.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Talk about that for a second. It's kind of like I'm not completely familiar with it. It's kind of like a Burning Man kind of thing.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it's not that. I know it's not that, but
it's the Rainbow Family has existed since the 60s,
mm-hmm.
and they meet annually for a Rainbow Family Gathering, and it's in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
and it happens July 1st through 7th every year.
Is it just a bunch of travelers that get together?
Yeah, mostly travelers, people who everybody belongs to the Rainbow Family.
Uh-huh.
It's supposed to consist of all people, and those who show up are usually people who are living on the road or travel often and kind of have that new age hippie kind of feel.
Okay. That's cool. As long as everyone's cool to each other, everything won't judge. Yeah. I'm not a fan of I'm gonna be stereotypical. I'm not a fan of patchouli or anything like that. But no, I'm kidding. That's terrible to say. But why would you do it this way? Why not just like walk the Appalachian Trail or something if you wanted to, go through and see the different parts of the country?
For one, it's faster.
Yeah, okay.
And there is that human element.
That's really the thing that really drove you, though, right? I mean, the first time that you did it, you were with a good friend,
mm-hmm.
and then you appreciated the fact. I would imagine. I'm not going to assume what's in your head, obviously, but I would imagine that may have been the big driver that your faith in people was reaffirmed.
Right.
Well, it kind of begs the question then, like, how far would you go for a complete stranger then? I mean, you've been in that situation where you've been the stranger.
Right.
I mean, if you saw some, poor guy getting in a fight or something, or if you saw somebody who was on the side of the road or something like that, I mean, do you think that after this experience that your awareness about things has
mm-hmm.
been mutated somewhat?
Absolutely, yeah.
In what way? I mean,
there's always been a place in my heart for the homeless community specifically.
Wicked. Oh, and Utah is definitely Salt Lake City specifically is one that's having the entire homeless situation turned on its head.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was probably after my big trip. I mean, I saw this guy walking around with a big backpack, and I asked, "Where are you going? Are you going anywhere?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm trying to travel to Nevada or wherever." And I'm like, "You need a place to stay?"
Jeez, man.
Jesus. I've offered our place to several different people, and it's always been pleasant.
That's crazy.
Every single time.
Every single time, really. Mm-hmm. You haven't had one. You've had to have had one bad experience.
Not in host. There was this older gentleman we met through couch surfing, and we just happened to have a vacancy in our apartment, and he needed to stay a while longer, so he ended up being our roommate. He was like 40 years old, and he was hanging out with a bunch of young people, so that was kind of weird. And he was kind of weird.
Don't tell me that shit.
But like that's just like a weird random thing. I mean, if he had stayed, because couch surfing, I don't usually accept people to stay if they're like more than like 3 nights.
Okay, yeah.
Because it becomes kind of inconvenient.
Right, because then you get a new roommate, and you only have so much room in your entire.
But no, I mean, through couch surfing exclusively, I
mm-hmm.
haven't had a single bad experience.
Man, that makes me feel good. It really does. And honestly, this entire we're only 20 minutes in the conversation. I'm already beginning to realize what an asshole I am.
That's my goal here.
Nice,
Mike.
thank you very much, Josh. Call me after the show. Hey, remember, you're a bad person. Well, let's continue on in regards to that, because when you when did you start your single trip? Because when did you start in Texas again? Like you did with
I started
Ibrahim,
in
or
Austin, Texas.
so did you start both? No, I'm sorry. I'm mistaken. When you started in Austin, that was by yourself.
Correct.
And you started with Ibrahim your very first time from Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back then. So you started in Austin, went to Houston, and now you're at a truck stop.
Yeah, Austin to Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
And then I'm in a truck stop. Actually, it was a gas station. An older woman picked me up and dropped me off at a truck stop because she's like, this would be a better spot for you to pick a ride. Truckers have never picked me up. Not a single
Well, yeah,
time.
because you're not going to give him a blowjob in the cab.
No.
Joke. I'm sorry. But also, no, you're not going to do that.
It is interesting because Ibrahim has received rides from truckers, but I never have. I don't know what that's all about. But I hung out outside that truck stop for a good 4 hours, and this was my first first day on the road.
How do you even talk to people? I mean, how are you like, hey, you guys going to Chicago?
So typically, I will fish out some cardboard from a garbage can nearby.
Okay.
And
just make a sign.
Yeah, make a
That's
sign.
Intense.
And yeah, just get a big ass Sharpie and write where I need to go.
Uh-huh.
Typically, I won't do like my primary destination and just towns in between to try and grab people who are
going north or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there is a strategy, like if you choose to, like, for example, I was trying to get to New Orleans from Dallas.
Oh man.
So I'm not going to say New Orleans on my sign because that's really far away.
Yeah.
And
it's like Cuba. You're going to go from one point to another.
Right.
And just that's smart. That's intense.
And yeah, so
I'm saying that a lot.
I ended up, there was this trucker who saw me inside. I was taking a break inside getting some Subway.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I see you're trying to get out of here, but my truck needs to be repaired. So if you come in at like 8 p.m., I can get you out of here." I'm like, "That's fine. I've been waiting for 4 hours."
Yeah, why not? What's
so I ended
more?
up chilling, and then he's like, "Actually, it's not going to be till like 1 a.m." So I ended up chilling in the driver's lounge, and then the guy never showed up.
Oh, damn.
So I slept in the field.
Are you kidding me?
No, I just pulled
Jesus,
up,
dude.
And then yeah, I had this big ass piece of cardboard I was using as a sign just like to cover my head, but like I packed up all my shit the next morning. I'm like, I'm not staying here anymore, and just started walking along the freeway.
Oh my god!
I walked for a good like 5-6 miles, and then this man pulls over in his junky Jeep, and it turns out he's drinking a beer. I'm like, I guess this is how this works. We're drinking beer while we're driving around, dude. And he drove me all the way to New Orleans.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
That's
yeah,
unbelievable to me.
There were some points like he'd grab beers at every gas station we could.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You should drive for a little while." So I drove for a little bit, and then
Jesus Christ.
And then like we got to the point where we were in Louisiana, and there's this, I don't know where exactly it is, but there's this the highway ends up going. It's elevated, and you're going over all these swamps and stuff. So he wanted to drive so I can check out everything.
God, man.
And he dropped me off in New Orleans. I didn't have a place to stay or anything, and I'm like, all right, I'm in New Orleans now. What do I do? So there's actually a feature on the Couchsurfing app where you can hang out.
Okay.
And you click on Hang Out Now, and you can see other people who are wanting to do that. And I said, I want
strength in numbers, I guess, right?
Yeah, there was this person who was wanting to go see music. And I'm like, yeah, I'll check that out.
I like music.
Yeah, so I ended up going out and meeting up with her, and then met up. She was traveling from England, and ended up meeting up with a bunch of other couch surfers. And then a friend, a local who wasn't on couch surfing at all, ended up hosting me that night. So I had a place to stay for a couple nights.
How many people that you were traveling with do you think were part of like the young homeless community?
What do you mean?
Well, there's definitely a certain, how can I put this? Well, stereotype when it comes to people who just hitchhike and travel around and whatnot. Now, they used to be called hobos.
Right.
People assume that the majority of them are homeless. And I'm wondering, in your experience, what's really the reality? I know some people who think of hobo as being a derogatory term nowadays.
Like as far as other hitchhikers go?
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly those people would be more on we call them road dogs.
Okay.
That travel on the road are usually like dirty and like tatted up, you know.
Okay.
So I was told many times that I looked really clean, which is a good tactic if you're trying to get a ride.
I'm sure.
To look clean, to look friendly,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I mean, most people who hitchhike are more on the dirty side, and I mean that's fine.
Yeah. How many of them are traveling because they have to, because they don't have any other choice? Do you think?
I'd say a large percentage of them.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time it's by choice. If they're moving around, it's usually by choice because that's the lifestyle they've chosen. And it's very freeing to be able to live that kind of lifestyle. Just the fact that I know I can pack up all my shit and be anywhere I want for free, basically, is really empowering.
It's like the epitome of independence in a way, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. There's many times where I've said, all right, this is the month I'm going to pack up all my shit and just be gone for an indefinite amount of time.
God,
you know,
sometimes I've been there. Sometimes I'm at my desk and it's just like, I could just leave.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit when it comes to like the technical stuff behind it, because like you mentioned, hygiene is definitely something you have to think about. Money is something you have to think about. Food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how did you deal with those challenges while you're going through and just traveling through different places?
So when I landed in New Orleans, I realized that all the money I'd made in Austin was spent on fast food while I was in Austin.
Oh, Jesus. Well, there's good fast food in Austin, I guess.
Yeah. And I was talking to a friend about this, and she was talking about wiring me some money, a few $100s. And
so you have a support network.
I had a support network, but I actually refused to take that money.
Okay.
And
why? Why'd you do that? You're in a desperate situation.
Right.
Why
I wanted to stay in that desperate situation.
Now, what's the mentality behind that? Did you have something to prove to yourself, or was it just you wanted to be like this completely organic thing, and that you had to suffer in order to make that happen?
I think it's more of the organic. Just wanted it to. I was feeling like as I was able to manifest things in a way where
well, not out of thin air.
Of course. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like.
No, explain it to me. How what do you mean by that? By manifest?
Like as you seek after things, they come to you.
So like you find people of using the app.
Right.
You find people who want or need help in certain ways. And if you're of that same persuasion, then these things will come to you inevitably. You're just looking for them.
Yeah. Most of the people I surfed with were either willing to provide food for me.
Wow.
Or I found ways to like, I would get something at McDonald's for really cheap and then do the little survey and get free food that way.
Nice.
But yeah, basically I was sustained by people giving me money just when they'd pick me up.
That's intense, man.
Like people would, I mean, there was one time when I was in Ohio, I stayed there. I planned on staying there for 2 nights. I ended up staying for about 5.
Okay. Pretty long in your own book.
Yeah.
But if the feeling's good, why fight it?
Right. And I went to their church that Sunday I was leaving, and then the roommate of the guy I was staying with ended up giving me like all the cash in his wallet.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It sustained me through. People would just give me things, and it'd work on the road. People are inspired by people who travel, who are willing to
be so vulnerable,
seek after that thing. Yeah.
Well, then I guess money is one of the things that kind of answers the question. I mean, you were given charity and for the right reason. People saw that you may have needed a little boost here or there, and if it's people can spend their money on whatever they want, in my opinion.
Right.
So how about you mentioned the McDonald's trick? How about food? I mean, food had to be something that you had to deal with primarily.
Yeah, that was my primary way of getting food.
Good.
Good. a lot of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Just wherever I could find it. People, I mean, I've had people when I'm hitchhiking on the road, they won't give me a ride, but they'll throw a Wendy's burger at me.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay, take it. Did you ever do like the dumpster dive or anything like that? Did you ever get that desperate?
I actually never had to do that. But primarily, I like I said, I've had a place to stay almost every night.
Yeah.
And
they had food in their fridge.
Most of the time, they would just say, "Help yourself."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How about like when it came to the hygiene situation, keeping your clothes clean, keeping your body clean?
Once again, being able to stay at people's places, I'd wash my clothes at their places, I'd shower at their places.
My mind is fucking blown.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
I've learned how to use many different showers. I know some of them could be tricky, but like, I nailed those showers.
Your shower game is strong, son. Yeah. It's all good. Well, then let's keep going then. So after, and I don't need you to like chart your entire trip because that would take more than the time that we had to record. But I definitely want to get into like some of the high points that you remember from it. What happened after New Orleans? What's the first memory in your head when you think about when you left that town?
New Orleans was hard to leave. Like
Really?
I was really emotional when I left.
You had a lot of good people there, and
There
you
were a
just
lot of like because I ended up. It was the Satchmo Festival happening.
what's that?
It's Satchmo is a nickname for Louis Armstrong.
Okay, cool.
And they had a whole Louis Armstrong festival going on, and I ended up going to like this it's like a swing dance class,
Okay,
or something. And I met a girl there,
wicked.
and she ended up like setting a shout out on Facebook to try and find me a place. And I was able
So
to stay
sweet.
an entire 9 days in New Orleans, and she's like, I'm actually house sitting, so if you need a place to stay, you could stay with me. We can we crash at these different houses, and you can go to this Kundalini workshop with me. And I did Kundalini yoga with them, and found out there's this whole ayahuasca community that they're a part of. And
Wicked.
And
Ayahuasca being the
DMT,
the spiritual
the ceremony. Yeah, you drink the ayahuasca,
Ayahuasca,
and you
yeah.
have like the whole
it's hallucinogenic and
Yeah.
Okay, wicked.
yeah. And yeah, it was really hard to leave New Orleans, but I took a bus to Mobile, Alabama.
That sounds like the worst place to travel to.
It was hard to get out of there. Because the freeways are really complicated.
Yeah.
But I ended up hanging out around this tunnel. I guess there was a tunnel you needed to go into, like that went under the river.
Yeah.
And this guy just shouted out to me. He's like, "Hey, you need to get across," and he helped me over, and eventually made it to Pensacola, and then from Pensacola to Tallahassee, and I got 7 rides. It's less than 200 miles in between Pensacola and Tallahassee, and I had 7 rides all the way through.
And you're down south. You're like in Florida at that point.
Yeah.
So you've
the
gone
Panhandle.
kind of. Oh, wait. So were you going east? I
was going east.
Out of Texas. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was really incredible to get so many rides. One particular experience I thought was interesting is I was dropped off on the on-ramp, and like immediately was picked up by these 3 women. They told me to hop in the back, and I opened the door, and there's this 3rd woman in the back just laying down, and her ass is showing, and like
What?
like her dress is up and her ass is showing. I'm like just move those clothes aside. So I picked up this stack of wet clothes that was on the seat and just like tried to not put them on her.
Oh my God, dude. That would freak me the fuck out. I'd be like, whoa, what's wrong with this woman, and why haven't I started calling the police yet?
And we ended up driving, and they took me a few exits down, but while we're driving, they're like, "Hey, you want a drink?" I'm like, "Sure."
Dude,
So they
like so many alarms going on in my fucking head right
popped
now.
out this big ass thing of cheap vodka,
Okay.
and I used a gas station cup and just like poured a shot in it, and I'm like, when in Rome, and did a shot of vodka in the back of their car, and then when about the time I was showing up, the sun was going down, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to make it to Tallahassee. But this man who was actually just going to go a few exits down from where I was to check out instead of the Walmart where he tried to park and sleep in.
Yeah.
He's in an RV, and he wanted to get to a supercenter because you're allowed to park there for over 24 hours.
Yeah, there's a Walmart here that facilitates that. There's Winnebagos and stuff all over the place around here.
Yeah, he was going to just go a few exits down, but he saw my sign to Tallahassee. He's like, "Oh, whatever, I'll just go all the way to Tallahassee."
Yeah, I imagine it must be practically impossible to do it at night.
Yeah, I've never gotten a ride at night, and
Okay.
it's really tricky. But this guy was especially impressive to me because he had hitchhiked in the 60s and 70s.
Wow.
And we talked a lot about just kind of how the world works right now, and
How do you think this experience changed your worldview?
Well, we were talking about how he said that people weren't really as afraid of each other back then and whatnot, and he said specifically that it's the media.
Wow.
And that the only difference between 1969 and 2016 is that today people are covered in a blanket of fear.
Isn't that the kind of, not an oxymoron, but that's kind of got to be the real mind fuck with me a little bit, because the reason as to why you were able to facilitate a lot of places to stay was because of technology.
Right.
And I can definitely tell you the reason as to why I'm paranoid of doing exactly what you did is because my education when it came to hitchhiking was that it's completely something to avoid.
Right. You'll have like these horror films and
Totally
stuff. I mean, that's what people think of. They think of Ted Bundy like picking you up and then
done.
I was up Ted Bundy.
I always think of Pee-wee's Playhouse myself when Large Marge is in her big rig and
Large Marge. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Dude, watch Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's an incredible film. But there is this scene where like Pee-wee's in there and he gets a ride from Pee-wee Herman. He's this comedian who used to have a kid show.
Yeah.
But he gives this big rig gal comes in, picks him up, and he finds out later on that she was something else. So anyway, it's a hilarious film. But that's what I'm talking about, though. I've never even thought of doing what you've done, and so my education comes from media, comes from the consumption of things like Facebook and CNN and all this other stuff, and police reports.
Right.
Because there are plenty of travelers here in Salt Lake. There's plenty of homeless people here as well, and unfortunately, the majority of stories that you hear about that entire world are negative.
Right. The negative ones usually get the headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more exciting.
Well, I mean, if anything, you're kind of helping me realize that maybe people really aren't as bad as the newspapers say. So you're chilling out in the Panhandle. Then I imagine after that you go up north for a little bit, up on the east side, up on the East Coast.
So when I initially started the trip, I had planned on hitting California and possibly going into Canada.
Really? So you're going to go the opposite direction, or just get there eventually by going up the East Coast first?
No, I was going to go up the West Coast up
Okay.
to Canada, but I found that there was a concert going on in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And I really wanted to hit New Orleans, and so I'm like, I'm just gonna go to the East Coast.
Yeah.
It was Stoplight Observations, which is a band that me and my friends are really into.
Okay.
And they had just released their second album while I was on my trip, and they were having a concert to celebrate and to kick off
a free concert, or
no, just like a concert to kick off their tour.
So did somebody buy you tickets to get to this?
No, I bought them while I was in Austin.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yep. Now I have a destination. I just got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
And
how you can jump to certain points without intimidating people. Like, take me to the East Coast of the United States out of Austin, please.
right, make it a journey.
Yeah.
Just kinda, yeah.
But that was your reason for going up that side of the country, then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went through the Panhandle, up and stopped in Savannah. Just kind of an anecdote.
Yeah.
When I was showing up at Tallahassee, it was past midnight.
Okay.
And I was coordinating with the couch surfing host, and he works nights, so he wasn't going to be there, and he just gave me directions to his place, and he told me, like, just walk in the front door, and there's some stew if you want to throw in anything to make it taste better, you can. You can sleep on the couch, you could sleep in the spare bedroom, whatever you'd like. And yeah, I ended up just sleeping in the house while he wasn't there, and then next morning he told me
I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out.
It's
Like,
crazy, man.
I would never ever let anybody do that. I mean, God damn, that's you really. You can tell I'm speechless. I'm just that's great. That's great.
And
it's ridiculous.
It's cool because since I've been back, we've hosted all the time, and I do the exact same thing to people that just stay at my place.
Shit, man.
You know, like I've picked up some road dogs who were just spanging on the side of the road trying to
Spanging?
spare changing.
Oh, spare changing. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
just trying to get some cash and get out of there. Turns out they were actually at the Rainbow Family Gathering and connected a bit. And I'm like, if you need a place to shower or something, you can.
Yeah.
They ended up staying a few nights, but like I gave them my keys.
Why aren't you worried about them stealing your shits?
Because they're not going to steal my shit.
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
I don't. I place very little value on the things that I own.
On material possessions in general.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's jump into that a little bit. If there were a set of rules when it came to, and I know I don't want to like make it regimented, because I understand having this experience is an experiment in freedom, and it's an experiment in improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be too rigid when it comes to doing something like that. But if you could give me 4 rules, maybe, if there's even that many, to doing what you did, to hitchhiking in general, would one of them being not having any dependence on a material possession?
That's very wise.
Yeah.
You automatically have to do that because you can only carry so much.
Yeah. What are some other rules then? I mean, you have to pack light. Don't care about what you
look
have.
clean.
Uh-huh.
And talk to people while they're driving you.
I can only imagine how many no's you must have gotten. Like, was there ever? I mean, constantly. It had to be constant. Like, just people just saying no, get the fuck out of here.
I mean, the only no I would get is people not pulling over to pick me up. You know what I mean?
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, like, nobody's. I have said no to a couple people because they weren't going where I wanted them to.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could get a ride that would go further, but never would somebody say, like, they'd pull up and be like, no, you can't get in my car, you know? They're going to just pull up to say that I can't get a ride, you know?
But there is a mentality between two people who have, like, different lifestyles like that. I mean, I'm not a traveler, and when I see somebody on the tracks over here who, may not be best of hygiene, but they got a backpack and like a pit bull with them or something, and they have a sign. I mean, of course, I'm going to have a stereotypical view in regards to certain things about them, make assumptions about their character. Not so much now after talking to you, but you run into challenges in regards to that. I mean, there has to have been a time when, and if there wasn't, then I'm going to be amazed, but there has to have been a time where, maybe you got some verbal abuse or something from somebody, or when it was just a disdainful look, or people like moving away from you because they could tell that you were.
Yeah, like when I was in New Orleans, people would like look at me weird, like he just looks like a
bum.
Like a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like,
you're like holly jolly and everything.
Yeah, just like, hey, where do I find this? Where do I find this? Yeah, just super friendly. But
so you had to adjust your attitude in regards to being vulnerable.
I guess
you had to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Jesus, man, I can't tell you how uncomfortable that makes me. You're giving me a hell of an education tonight, and I appreciate it. That's intense. That's unbelievable to me. Well, then you were going through. You went to the concert. What was the farthest north that you went?
So
did you make it to Canada, but on the east side?
No, I made it all the way up to Syracuse. I believe would be as far north as I got on the east
New
coast.
York.
Yeah, Syracuse, New York.
Killer.
Yeah, I actually ended up staying near Washington D.C. because I had a friend there.
Okay.
We went to Six Flags and like
nice.
She's in the military, so she had like tickets to that.
She gets a discount.
Yeah, and I got to check out D.C. and and then I wasn't really sure how I was going to get to the West Coast. I figured I'd just hitchhike, but I was in this Facebook group called Hippie Truck Drivers.
Okay.
Board.
Okay, cool.
And
shout out to the hippie truck drivers.
And this man had posted. He said, "I'm packing up all my shit and heading to the West Coast. If anybody wants to join me, let me know."
Yeah.
And I hit him up, and he told me to meet him in Lakeview, Ohio. So I had another deadline. I just kind of meandered around, up through New York State, up to Syracuse, New York. And then down to Ohio, stayed in Alfred.
Crazy.
Alfred, New York was really amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. This is so great.
Okay, go right ahead. Please, lay it on me.
When I was leaving Alfred, New York, it's a really small town.
Okay. Is it north of the big city or south?
No,
or?
It's very much west.
Okay.
And it's really backwoods. It has 2 colleges in it, but it's considered a village like during the summer.
Interesting.
And as I was leaving, this man named Joe Backer,
what up, Joe?
I was trying to head out. I was actually rolling a cigarette while waiting to get out of there, and he pulled over, and I came up to him, and he's like, I'm like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Wherever you need to go." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Get the fuck out of here.
And I'm like, "Well, eventually I need to get to Ohio."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Cool. Well, I just need to get some stuff first." It's like a 10-hour drive.
Yeah.
And we started driving and talking. He's like, have you been to Pollywog? I'm like, "What's Pollywog?" He's like, it's this cool ass bar. It's all outside and it's really great. How about, you know what? You just stay the night at my place, and then we'll go to Pollywog. We'll go to Pollywog tonight. Stay the night, and then I'll drive you all the way to Ashland, Ohio.
Okay.
That was it. And so I ended up meeting his family, and like,
Jesus.
And we went to Pollywog and met a bunch of people there. Like, it was great. I went on a little walk. He told me, like, don't feel pressure to just hang out with me the whole time. Do your thing. Yeah. So I went on a walk and met one of the bartenders. Like, if you come by the bar, I'll give you a drink. And
unbelievable.
This other guy who's going to college in Germany for free, and like we ended up talking for a while.
The people that you meet.
Yeah.
You've got to be a charming fucking character, dude.
I mean, I'd say so.
Yeah. Hey, I would too. Absolutely. But that's the mentality behind it then too. I mean, you just have to be just open and just friendly and honest.
Just being open with people and willing to talk to them.
How do you deal with the monotony of the road? Because like you said, 10-hour drives.
Right.
You're getting out. You're walking up and down the fucking highway. I mean, that's got to get tedious after a while.
I didn't feel like it was too monotonous because my surroundings were consistently changing.
Okay.
Given that I was driving from one unfamiliar place to another.
Unfamiliar place.
As well as like acquainting myself with unfamiliar people every time I'm in a car.
God damn, I cannot applaud your attitude enough. I mean, I don't know if I'm not going to be cross country hitchhiking anytime soon, but the fact that you're just so upfront and honest and not there isn't one crack in your armor at all, dude. I mean, and that's because there isn't any.
Right.
You're here. That's it. That's interesting. That makes you very interesting to talk to. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So you got out of New York, got to Ohio. Was that when you started making your trek back west?
Yeah,
back
so
towards California, or
I grabbed a ride in Ohio with this man. His name's Richard, and he was just abandoning his life and just hitting the West Coast, starting a new thing. And
did you ever get like, what was it impolite to get into people's backstory, or did they just open up and inevitably?
No, people would open up to me like crazy.
Okay. Did it ever get annoying? I mean, like when?
Not too often. No.
Not too often. Okay.
I
cool.
feel like it kind of blew my mind because they'd often be like thanking me.
You're a traveling psychiatrist, dude.
I guess. I don't know. Like
maybe it's like that thing. Well, I'll never see this dude again. I'll just tell him.
Right, and I'd love being that for people.
Yeah,
because it's just I get a window into their life, and I enjoy that, being able to. I mean, just there were so many times where like between Pensacola and Tallahassee, this man picked me up in his big ass truck and. He's like, is it cool if I go pick up my kid first before we...
He was asking you permission before he picked up his kid?
Yeah, he's like, are you comfortable with that? I'm like, awesome. So we go up to the school, pick up their kid, and then gives me $40 to buy myself some cigarettes.
Unreal.
Like, but like, yeah, I connect with a lot of people traveling this way, and it's addicting.
Really?
It's very, very much addicting. Like
you're gonna do it again, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, right now I'm studying journalism so that I can travel and find stories
and
while
report
I'm on
about
the road.
it. Oh my god, dude. That sounds scary, but ridiculously exciting.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Cool. So when you then what between so I imagine that you got to Ohio, then you're moving your way up in the Northwest.
Yeah,
got to California, then headed back down towards.
Yeah, so we went through Wisconsin Dells and then stopped in North Dakota for the Dakota Access Pipeline protests.
Oh yeah.
Stayed there for a couple nights.
Absolutely.
And then as we were driving, our plan was to go to Northern California, but Richard had some car troubles, and so he depleted all his funds fixing that.
Yeah,
and
because his car's his house at this point, in a sense. He picked up everything.
Yeah, and he called up his brother he hadn't seen in 7 years.
Wow.
He's like, "Yo, is it cool if we stop by your place and just kind of recoup for a sec?" And so I ended up going to his brother's place just north of Spokane, Washington, in like the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, just forests out there.
Yeah, and stayed in a trailer just outside his brother's house. And
is it rude to call it squatting?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it's a common term.
Okay, cool.
And like squat spots.
Yeah.
I squatted there for about 10 days.
Shit.
And living with his brother's family. He had 2 kids and his girlfriend, and connected really well with them.
Did you ever feel obligated to do things for the families that you stayed with?
I often would. I would definitely do the dishes. I helped around the property there.
Just like yard work and that kind of thing.
Yeah. He had several acres, so we were able to. We ended up cleaning up this canopy that had a whole bunch of his old shit in it, and I actually was able to grab a few things for the road.
Nice.
And
I'm not using it anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I got this. I don't know if he knows I took this, but there's this Confederate flag hat. Like the whole hat is like a Confederate flag. I'm like, I'm fucking taking this. So I have it at my house right now. Like,
oh, dude, I can only imagine the weird shit, the cool souvenirs that you're able to pick up on the entire trip.
Yeah,
that's intense.
Yeah, a lot of cool rocks.
This is one I got on the 405.
Yeah.
This is one I got on the 315.
I've got some feathers that I picked up like along the side of the road that I still have, and the rocks and shit.
So you're going through Washington, and then I imagine like Oregon, and then move on down from California.
I didn't make it all the way up to Oregon. Okay. I ended up heading south from Spokane. Okay. Stayed in Walla Walla.
Walla Walla, Washington.
Yeah.
It exists.
Yeah, it was really an interesting place to be because like it's very Seventh-day Adventist influenced.
Really?
Yeah.
And I've never been. That's interesting.
Yeah, like the college there is Seventh-day Adventist, and the people I stayed with were young and had actually become disillusioned by Seventh-day Adventist faith. And so it's interesting to like compare notes between.
Is it an offshoot of Mormonism?
No, it's not an offshoot of Mormonism, but their structure is very similar.
Okay.
They like have health codes, and like they have the sort of hierarchy that the Mormon Church does.
Gotcha.
But yeah, just being able to compare notes in that way and see that like
How many
all right,
similarities?
This is what it's like to live in Utah with LDS influence.
Right. I know
just with
this.
Seventh-day Advent. Yeah, it's really cool to see that basically everyone everywhere is living a very similar life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of shade. But
Yeah.
I mean, religion, politics, family, marriage, siblings, it's all pretty similar, honestly.
Yeah.
I
a
imagine
lot
that
to relate to.
I imagine that must be something that kind of came in handy as well. I mean, when you begin to realize that you're dealing with nothing but a shifting geography and a shifting population, when you find nothing but similarity regardless of the differences,
Mm-hmm.
that's got to be that has to be a movement in your head
And
a little bit.
and really, like, being able to talk to so many different people, you automatically find a lot of similarities just in their thought processes, like in things that they value, things that scare them. You know, people I feel like are really easy to relate to because we all feel very similar things.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to pinpoint those and talk about them, I guess.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you think everybody should hitchhike?
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people have pointed out, like, well, I'm a woman, I really shouldn't hitchhike.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's something you can't ignore, right? That has to come into play.
absolutely. Like, I definitely.
Real quick, were you mostly picked up by other men, or was it
I
other
was
women?
mostly picked up by men.
Okay.
Usually older.
Okay.
But I have been picked up by women. I picked up by an Australian woman who had. She's from Australia, so it's a lot more common in Australia.
Shit.
For hitchhikers.
That's the next goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get some cash
I mean,
for the ticket.
Next goal is actually to cross the pond and go into Europe. I'd like to hitchhike across the pond, if you will, by volunteering on a crew.
That's intense. God, I keep saying it's intense all the time.
It is,
it's like my favorite
I
saying.
guess.
That's exactly what it is. Well, then, like, what would be something something that people who are considering to be the helping hand for people who are traveling?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think should be in the forefront of their minds? Like, let's say I'm on the highway, I see some poor kid or some poor lady or whatever. And they're probably not poor at all, but what should I know about the movement, I guess, for lack of a better term, that would make it easier for people to accept this as normal to help people? It's a big question, I know, but I think you probably have a good idea.
So what should people know about hitchhikers?
Yeah.
That they're just looking for a ride.
Okay.
That's all they want is a ride. They don't want to, like, come in and steal your shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is one of the stereotypes that people who are trying to go through and experience this is something they're going to run into a lot.
Right.
What are some other things that you think, civilians or whatever, for lack of a better terms, should disavow when it comes to the stereotypes?
That, I don't know, that the people they're picking up don't really have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
That they're kind of just meandering around, which is often true. But it's because they enjoy that, and it's very liberating to be able to just go where you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about people on the other side? People who are thinking about doing what you did. What advice would you give them?
Make sure you having a sign is really helpful.
Take at least 16 Sharpies because you're not going to be able to use just one. It's going to dry up sooner or later.
And I spent a lot of time actually. I decided to. Most of the time, I would just go on the interstate.
Yeah.
But I found that going on smaller highways and just walking along the highway, and when cars come by, just turn around and smile and wave.
Yeah.
Works pretty well.
Did you just do the thumb thing too, or is that a myth?
Yeah, no, I definitely do the thumb thing.
Wicked.
Typically, when I'm on the interstate, I'll put my bag down and then, like, just in front of me, and then take a couple steps back and hold my sign and put my thumb out, wave at everybody going by, and eventually somebody picks you up.
Crazy. How do you think this experience has changed your life before and after? Like, you're a totally different person than
Absolutely.
than Mission Josh.
Yeah.
Do you think you're a better person?
You
can be egotistical or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
I'd say I'm a better person. I've always been pretty agreeable.
Yeah.
And it's always been easy for me to get along with people, but as far as, like, understanding that there is a bigger picture and that there are generally people are very good. And
Gotcha.
if you can't see it on the surface, it's definitely underneath.
Great. That's cool. Well, goddamn, man, I can't thank you enough. I have absolutely been educated tonight, and I really do appreciate it. But seeing as we're coming to the end of the show, I am going to have to initiate you a little bit, as I would anybody else, as we begin our everybody's favorite part of People's Freeway. People's Trivia. Okay, so believe it or not, I found a quiz online about hitchhiking. And we're going to go through, we're going to find out how many of these general questions you get right and how many you get wrong. If you get them wrong, you get it right. Oh, wait. No, wrong one. That's the right one. It's been a while, Josh. I'm sorry. But, of course, if you get the majority of them right, then you will win my People's Freeway's customary prize of a bag of corn nuts. Holy shit.
All right. I'm in.
Nice.
All
okay,
in.
so let's get things started then. So, question number 1. Which one of these terms is not a term for hitchhiking? Hitching, nosing, thumbing, or tramping? Which one isn't a term for hitchhiking?
I would say nosing.
You would be correct, sir. Excellent. So that is 1 right. God, it's been a while. Don't worry, I'm pulling a couple mental muscles right now, but it'll get better. Okay, number 2, true or false? Excluding rest stops, it is illegal to hitchhike on the German Autobahn, UK motorways, and U.S. interstates. True or false?
False.
Sorry, that's true.
I mean, I was doing it.
You were, yeah, exactly.
I did get pulled over by some cops for walking along the interstate, though.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, you know what? It may be a little bit illegal, but it's definitely not impossible.
Right.
So take that away, everybody. Number 3, every year near Easter, an organized hitchhiking journey travels from England to which African nation? From England to South Africa, from England to Morocco, from England to Kenya, or from England to Madagascar?
I'd say Morocco.
That is correct! Oh my god, dude, you're killing it so far. Amazing. All right, number 4. Which of these famous books begin with the main character hitchhiking? To Kill a Mockingbird, The Grapes of Wrath, Lord of the Flies, or Gone with the Wind?
I would say Gone with the Wind.
Oh, it is Grapes of Wrath, dude.
Oh,
Sorry
man.
about that. Don't worry. You're 2 for 2. This is good shit. Most of the people just get exasperated and leave at this point. So it's,
Walk out.
In 1962, which singer sang a song simply entitled Hitchhike? Marvin Gaye, Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, or Dusty Springfield?
I'd have to go with Johnny Cash.
Ooh, close.
Oh, Bob Dylan.
That was Marvin Gaye.
Oh, God.
But I
Goddamn.
thought the exact same thing when I saw this online. I was like, oh, dude, it's got to be Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not? All right. Well, it's got to be Bob Dylan then. I mean, come on.
Right.
Nope, Marvin Gaye. Interesting. Number 6. This 2000 comedy movie features the main characters hitching a ride from a blind man on a manual railroad car. Which movie, well known for its soundtrack, is this movie? The Hitcher, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Charlie's Angels, or Gone in 60 Seconds?
They grabbed the ride from a blind guy?
Yeah, it was made in 2000, and they were hitching a ride from a blind guy in a manual railroad car. Like they were pushing up and down on the railroad.
Funny.
What's
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I said funny. Okay. What were the options again? Sorry.
The options, you're completely cool. The options were The Hitcher, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Charlie's Angels, or Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds sounds right.
It's actually that was a Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, damn.
So
not.
So not that one.
Oh, that's like that car one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, brother, where art thou?
You got it.
Sounds like a Coen Brothers
Yeah,
thing
exactly,
to do.
dude. For sure. God damn. Okay, number 7. True or false? Hitchhiking has its own online encyclopedia, similar to Wikipedia. It is titled HitchWiki. Oh! Didn't have to finish a goddamn question. Good job, dude. Number 8. Which of these areas is a bad place to try and hitchhike? Okay, I'm doing that in quotes.
Right.
Okay? So it's definitely going to be like a bit more of a stereotypical question. But which of these areas is a bad place to try and hitchhike? Truck stops, gas and petrol stations, downtown or downtown of a city or town, or highway on-ramps?
Downtown.
Let's see what it gave. That's correct. That's actually what it did.
Yeah, it's hard.
Really?
Yeah, I would take buses outside of cities. Like,
And
as
just
far
get
as I
off the
could.
bus and just walk down the interstate?
That or a highway, yeah.
Dude, that's intense. Again, God, I had to stop using that word. Anyway. Okay, 2 more. It isn't just average citizens who hitchhike. In May of 2011, Edmonton Oilers forward Gilbert Brule picked up a pair of hitchhikers in Vancouver, British Columbia. Who did one turn out to be? The Canadian Prime Minister at the time, Stephen Harper, the lead singer of U2, Wayne Gretzky, or the movie actor Johnny Depp?
I'd say Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, close. It was Bono.
Oh, it's Bono.
Yeah. Apparently there was like a story about it back in the day. Don't worry. Even if you get this one wrong, you're probably still going to win.
I'm still taking those corn nuts.
You know it. Okay, number 10. Of course, any quiz about hitchhiking wouldn't be complete without a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
How many times did you hear that fucking joke?
Oh, a lot.
Sorry. How did the series first appear? In a movie, in a book, as a radio show, or as a comic strip?
I believe it was a book, right?
It was a radio show first.
Oh, cool.
And then they published it as a novel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Well, look, I appreciate you, coming in, and I want to, just congratulate you on winning the quiz.
Sweet.
You are the man. You did it. So let it be known to everybody. Josh Tesch knows what the fuck he's talking about because he was able to get questions right on a
complete quiz.
No, quiz in front of somebody. Holy shit! All right, dude, that is dope. So of course I have. Reaching. I have 3 flavors of corn nuts. Do you prefer barbecue, ranch, or jalapeno?
Probably the jalapeno.
Dude,
Sweet.
it's all you, man.
Usually I get like the original, but jalapeno sounds pretty great. Jalapeno cheddar even.
Yeah, bro, it's gonna be spicy for you.
Sweet.
Well, anyway, Josh, I can't thank you enough for coming in here and just letting me ask you a
thanks
lot
for
of.
having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Just getting education and. Honestly, I was surprised about some of the answers you gave, man. I was expecting this to be a bit of a horror story, straight up.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were able to go through this and you were able to allow yourself to be vulnerable, and it was honored by just the good nature of people, I think it's pretty inspiring, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody out there, if you enjoyed what Josh had to say, or if you have been listening to past episodes or anything, there has been a brief hiatus, but we're back. Gonna kind of try and keep it on a monthly basis a bit, and hopefully bring more interesting people to talk to, like Josh. But by all means, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email me, peoplesfreeway@gmail.com. Like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud. But in the meantime, we gotta come to a close because all good things have to inevitably come to an end. But we'll be coming back. Thank you so very much, Josh Tesch. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. As always, this is People's Freeway. My name is Mike, reminding you to enjoy the ride. Thank you so very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Peace!